Before then, we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive, really, really positive. Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave, one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject.
You just heard it. One of the most important announcements in many years. Could this finally be the one? The alien one. Now, why jump straight to aliens? Well, it wouldn't be the first time a president waded into these waters. Remember Bill Clinton back in 1996?
It speaks of the possibility of life. If this discovery is confirmed,
He went on TV discussing potential tiny fossils found in a meteorite from Mars. And Trump himself has mentioned hearing, quote, very interesting things about Roswell. So for an announcement touted as very, very big, the idea of extraterrestrial disclosure isn't completely out of the blue. Okay, let's run with it. Let's assume this upcoming announcement is about aliens. What exactly might be revealed? Because aliens exist could mean a lot of different things. This isn't just about blurry photos or cryptic hints anymore. We're talking about the kind of evidence that could genuinely compel a world leader to make such a monumental statement. What could realistically get us to that point? Let's look at the candidates, from the scientifically plausible to the truly paradigm-shifting. First up, and what many scientists consider the most probable route in the near future, is the discovery of microbial life, perhaps on Mars or one of the icy moons in our solar system. Think about it. NASA's Perseverance rover is on Mars right now, drilling into an ancient lake bed, specifically hunting for biosignatures, chemical or fossil traces of past life. This isn't science fiction, it's active, ongoing science. And we've had a taste of this kind of presidential announcement before. Back in 1996, President Bill Clinton addressed the world about the Martian meteorite ALH 84001. Scientists at NASA announced it contained features that could be fossilized microbes. Clinton called it potentially one of the most stunning insights into our universe. Now, the scientific consensus later shifted, with many arguing those features could be explained by non-biological processes. But the event itself set a precedent. It showed that even the possibility of extraterrestrial life warrants the highest levels of attention. Beyond Mars, moons like Jupiter's Europa and Saturn's Enceladus are incredibly enticing. They have vast subsurface oceans of liquid water, and Enceladus even spews plumes of this water into space. Future missions are planned to sample these plumes or even try to get beneath the ice. Imagine finding living cells or undeniable complex organic molecules there. Even closer to home, back in 2019, scientists detected methane spikes and unusual organic molecules on Mars. Not proof of life, but tantalizing clues that keep the door wide open. So, an announcement of evidence of extraterrestrial life in this form, even if it's just tiny organisms, would fundamentally alter our understanding of our place in the cosmos. It might not be little green men, but it would be profound. But what if the discovery isn't just ancient microbes? What if we detect something that's actively, intelligently trying to communicate? This brings us to our second candidate, the detection of an alien signal or a technosignature. For decades, projects like SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, have been scanning the skies. The classic example is the WOW signal from 1977, a powerful 72-second narrowband radio burst detected by the Big Ear telescope. It had all the hallmarks of a non-natural origin and remained unexplained for over 40 years, becoming the poster child for potential alien signals. In 2024, researchers proposed a possible natural origin involving an unusual hydrogen cloud, highlighting how rigorously these things are investigated. More recently, in late 2020, the Breakthrough Listen project detected a candidate signal dubbed BLC-1, seemingly coming from Proxima Centauri, our nearest star system, which hosts an Earth-sized planet. The excitement was immense, but after months of careful analysis, it was concluded to be almost certainly terrestrial interference. These instances show how careful scientists are. Any potential signal is scrutinized, needing verification from multiple observatories worldwide to rule out local interference or errors. So, what are they looking for? It could be a series of pulses conveying mathematical patterns like prime numbers, something nature is unlikely to produce, or a narrowband radio carrier that drifts in frequency exactly as a transmitter on an orbiting planet would. Or they might look for optical technosignatures, like powerful laser pulses or even infrared evidence of massive artificial structures like a Dyson sphere, an idea that got a lot of attention when Tabby's stars showed bizarre dimming patterns, though that later turned out most likely to be dust. If SETI ever hits pay dirt with a confirmed, verified alien signal, protocols are in place. It wouldn't remain secret. It would be a global announcement, undeniable proof of intelligent beings out there. The president would almost certainly address the world. This is a medium probability simply because it hasn't happened yet, but the search is constant. Now let's shift from distant signals to something potentially much closer to home and much more controversial. Insider whistleblowers coming forward with proof. This is our third scenario. Could someone with access to classified information about alleged alien encounters or technology force the government's hand? We've seen a surge in this recently. In 2023, former Air Force intelligence officer David Grush testified under oath to Congress. He spoke of a multi-decade U.S. program to recover and reverse engineer crashed unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, and even claimed knowledge of non-human biologics being retrieved from crash sites in exact locations where such materials are stored. These are extraordinary claims from a vetted officer. The Pentagon responded that its investigators had found no verifiable information to substantiate these assertions. But Grush isn't alone in making waves. We've heard compelling testimony from highly credible witnesses like Navy fighter pilot Commander David Fravor, who described his squadron's 2004 encounter with a tic-tac-shaped craft that demonstrated flight capabilities far beyond known human technology. Such accounts strongly suggest something unknown is operating in our skies. Then you have even more extraordinary, though less substantiated, claims like those from Haim Eshed, the retired head of Israel's space security program, who in 2020 alleged secret Galactic Federation pact and claimed President Trump was on the verge of disclosing this, but was asked not to avoid panic. These claims were met with widespread skepticism and lacked any evidence. The crucial factor for a whistleblower to trigger a presidential announcement is verifiable proof. Documents, physical materials, something that can be independently analyzed and confirmed. Testimony alone, no matter how credible the source, likely isn't enough. However, with new UAP investigative offices and enhanced legal protections for whistleblowers, this scenario is becoming more plausible. It could be the very path that leads to uncovering the kind of documents or physical evidence we'll discuss next. Our fourth candidate is a bit like finding treasure in your own attic. Scientists reanalyzing existing data from past space missions or old telescope observations and discovering something conclusive that was missed before. Our robotic probes and observatories have gathered enormous amounts of data over decades. Sometimes, new analytical techniques or fresh insights can squeeze new discoveries from old information. For example, the 1976 Viking Mars landers performed experiments searching for microbial life. While NASA concluded the results were due to unusual chemical reactions, one of the original experimenters, Gilbert Levin, has long argued and claimed again as recently as 2019 that the landers did detect life on Mars. NASA officially refutes this, stating the Viking results alone were not extraordinary evidence. This shows how reinterpretations can fuel debate, but also how high the bar is. More recently, in 2020, astronomers announced the detection of phosphine gas in the clouds of Venus, a gas associated with microbes on Earth, found in a region of the atmosphere considered potentially habitable. This finding, made by re-examining telescope spectra, sparked intense discussion about possible aerial life. Follow-up scrutiny has been mixed, and no consensus on Venusian life exists yet. Similarly, the WOW signal we mentioned earlier was found in decades-old radio telescope data. It's plausible that a careful review of archival space data could yield a breakthrough. However, any such claim would need to survive intense peer review and gain overwhelming scientific consensus before it would likely prompt a presidential announcement. Now we venture into what is perhaps the most dramatic scenario, the one that fuels countless movies and conspiracy theories. the government obtaining and revealing physical evidence of extraterrestrials. This is our fifth candidate, a crashed spacecraft, alien materials, or even biological remains. The Roswell, New Mexico incident in 1947 is the classic example, where wreckage initially described as a flying disc was later officially identified by the Air Force first as a weather balloon, and decades later as part of a top-secret atomic espionage project called Project Mogul. Despite these explanations, Roswell became a cornerstone of UFO lore, with many believing an alien craft was recovered. More recently, in 2020, a Pentagon UFO program insider, astrophysicist Eric Davis, allegedly briefed officials that the U.S. government possesses materials from off-world vehicles not made on this Earth, a claim reported in the New York Times. These are sensational claims. If any of these rumors were proven true with tangible, verifiable artifacts, imagine a piece of wreckage with isotopes not found on Earth, or technology that defies our understanding of physics, it would unquestionably force an aliens exist admission. David Grush's testimony about recovered non-human biologics also falls into this category. The key, as always, is indisputable, publicly verifiable proof. A secret piece of metal in a hidden vault isn't enough. There would need to be a declassification or leak of the material itself, detailed images, independent scientific analyses confirming non-terrestrial origin, all under circumstances compelling public acknowledgement. Or a UFO crash could happen openly, in a populated area where civilians and scientists retrieve it. Short of that, history suggests governments are very reluctant to reveal such evidence, if it even exists. After decades of rumors, we have yet to see a single piece of confirmed alien hardware presented to the public. So while the impact of such physical evidence would be definitive, the likelihood of this being the trigger is considered relatively low, given the intense secrecy and skepticism. Finally, our sixth candidate, declassified intelligence and government documents. Could dusty files hold the key? Over the decades, agencies like the FBI and CIA have investigated UFO sightings and kept records. Occasionally, declassified documents stir public excitement. For example, a 1950 FBI memo, the Guy Hotel memo, described an informant's claim that 3 flying saucers with alien bodies were recovered. Sounds dramatic, right? But the FBI later clarified this was unverified hearsay from a third-hand source that was never actually investigated. It was just a memo filed away. Similarly, the Air Force's Project Blue Book, which investigated UFOs for years, concluded there was no evidence of alien visitors. While renewed government interest in UAPs has led to some eyebrow-raising statements from former officials, like ex-CIA Director John Brennan musing in 2020 that some unexplained phenomena might constitute a different form of life. These are still opinions or interpretations, not hard documentary proof of alien existence. For documents alone to trigger a presidential aliens exist announcement, they would need to contain unprecedented, credible, and verifiable information that convinces not just leadership, but the public that we are not alone. Think less about grainy photos and more about scientific reports, official communications confirming contact, or analyses of recovered materials. But paperwork on its own is rarely the smoking gun. It usually needs to be tied to solid physical evidence or corroborated by multiple verifiable sources. So a very, very big announcement is promised. Could it be the cosmic newsflash we've been waiting for, or something far more terrestrial? So I'm calling it now. Trump will announce aliens discovered, or he will announce the discovery of a new planet of the solar system, Planet 9. In both cases, deep research has you covered. We covered both of those discoveries way ahead of Trump. Watch those next.